We're going to dig in a little bit more into these high-stakes meetings and what we expect to hear from the president today. Imitaz Tyab, foreign correspondent. Imitaz, you are in Lviv, and Lviv has, by and large, been particularly safe, though there was some shelling outside of Lviv. But let's talk about what we can expect to hear from President Biden today.
Anne-Marie, good to talk to you. You're absolutely right. Lviv, again, yet another sunny day here. Life largely moving on as normal, but there's nothing normal about what's happening here in Ukraine, and indeed Lviv, which has been a transit point for millions of Ukrainian refugees. At last count, 3.5 million refugees have now fled this country. But looking at Brussels, looking at the president, who, as you rightly point out, perhaps one of the most consequential trips so far in his term in office, there's a lot going on there, and there's an awful lot to unpack. Of course, the most important thing for now for the president is to just show Vladimir Putin how united NATO is, this 30-member bloc, and more importantly, how united the EU is, this 26-member bloc. And the president does deserve a bit of credit for holding these two very complex blocs together at this time of immense pressure on these nations because of energy. I'm going to throw some numbers at you. We have to remember that Europe is reliant on Russia for 40% of its LNG, for 46% of its coal, and 26% of its oil. That is a huge, huge, huge amount of energy that this continent needs, and it relies on Russia. And those figures have just skyrocketed. And President Biden, although he wants to talk about unity, although he wants to talk about the military reinforcements that NATO is receiving, and indeed all these countries which border Ukraine and Russia will be receiving, that is going to be one of the things that are going to be focused on heavily, and he will be put under an extreme amount of pressure to come up with a solution, to come up with some way to provide Europe with the energy that it needs, so we don't see the numbers that we're seeing, which is just the cost of energy skyrocketing at some points up to 10 times more than it was since the start of this conflict. Anne-Marie.
I want to get to the beefing up of the NATO troops in a second, but first let me ask you about this. How significant is it that the U.S. is now officially saying that Russia is responsible for war crimes?
It's very significant. War crimes, of course, are treated very seriously. And when you look at what's been happening here, what we've been talking about for the past few weeks, Anne-Marie, and what we've been seeing on our screens, you're looking at schools being targeted. You're looking at places where innocent civilians have been sheltering being targeted. Those are war crimes. But it's more complicated than that, especially when it comes to the U.S. The U.S. is not part of the ICC. It's not a signatory. So the likelihood of the U.S. being able to push Vladimir Putin, into the docket in The Hague is very unlikely. But there's an awful lot of talk going on about creating some sort of special tribunal which could sort of force Russia into some sort of legal accountability for the actions that it's taking here in Ukraine. Again, we have seen time and time again evidence of what appears to be war crimes, and so that no doubt is going to put an awful lot of pressure, not least on Vladimir Putin, but it will be something that the U.S. will have to navigate very carefully, again, because it's not a signatory of the ICC. Anne-Marie.
Imitaz, very quickly, the troop buildup in NATO, what's that supposed to signal?
It's very important. At the end of the day, this is a region, this is a bloc that the U.S. is a part of, a military bloc, and many NATO countries share borders with Ukraine, share borders with Russia, and they're afraid that fighting will spill over. And they want to know that they have the weapons, they have the arms, and they have the support, not just from NATO and its allies, but from the U.S. And that's very crucial, and again, something President Biden will be addressing in Brussels today. Anne-Marie.
All right, Imitaz Tyab, thank you so much.
My pleasure.